Hello, good people of the internet. This is Brian Markowitz speaking to you, and we're going to be doing a time lapse today of a alien bust I decided to do. The first thing I like to do is called the Blockout Pass. This is where I start with the usual sphere, and then I first play around with the actual shape of it. Then I decide, all right, let me make the neck, and let me make a little the rest of the chest. Then I go into how I'm feeling that this character might work, and this is where you want to have actual happy accidents, where you start to move at certain points and you realize, you know what, that actually looked pretty good. Let me work with that. So, example of the happy accident was the little chin part that you see down there. That was going to be right underneath the jawline, and then I just used the move brush and then just moved it down and then it made a little neck ripple effect, and then just from there I decided to just go straight into what I call like a sad alien dude. He's got a major frown on his face, big lips going all the way down. He's kind of like that guy from Forrest Gump, like Bubba, whatever, with a big lip. So I decided to play with that. I never did a character that looked like that, so I decided why not. Then I was just playing around and trying to understand where I want to put the nose. And for this one, I decided not to put it like right where the usual nose would be, and then wanted to see how it would work maybe if the nose was on top of the forehead. Then I was also looking at how the ears would be, and for this one I have it actually like instead of the ears being external parts, I actually have it engraved into the head. So once I get that blackout phase, I go into my first pass of detail. Now, after you get that initial blackout phase where you use a lot of your brain power, you could then just and when you go into the like detail phase, you could just start to turn your brain off and get more relaxed. When I first start with this stuff, I don't have music on. I basically just concentrate straight onto this. Then when I do the detail phases, that's where I could relax a little bit and just do little parts where I know, oh, this there will be a wrinkle here. There would be different parts of where I wanted to find, and this will allow me to go more into my auto mode. Now, you could also still have the chances for happy accidents. I was trying to figure out a good, quick way to get wrinkles throughout the character without like spending 15 million years on it. So then I later used a crumble brush. That's not going to come up yet, but let me first talk to you about like how when I'm creating that character, what's in my mindset. A lot of the time, when I'm first going into the model, I don't have anything in mind. But then as it's going about, I have the character just coming up to me, and then I just try to figure out little details that might make the character seem more real. Because whenever you look at somebody else, like either on the street or anything else, they have their own story. So when you look at this guy, you can kind of tell like little tiny story things about him. Since he doesn't have like a lot of scars on him, like he hasn't seen any like no battle time or anything. So this is not a warrior. He seems kind of old, but kind of flabby as well. So he's probably like the equivalent of like an alien construction worker kind of guy. I don't know. I was just messing around with this, but with this part, I'm still adding in little tiny details, and every once in a while, I go into asymmetrical mode, where I instead of having the X key all the time, I turn off the X key, and the further the closer you get to the center, that's where I try not to have symmetrical parts. Because in real life, when you look at a person's face, sometimes it looks off if everything's too symmetrical. So, like the corners of the mouth, you could get away with it being symmetrical, but like the wrinkles on a person's face, they are not symmetrical all the time. So, that's where I start to do that. And This is also where I start to do saving, as well as doing some more remeshing. I was doing this because my model was starting to get a little too heavy, and then also like when you're just doing straight Dynamesh the entire time, the like when you are starting to make the wrinkles into it, if it's not going across the edge flow that you have, then it starts to look a little like pixelated. But if you do a Z remesh and you do it properly, sometimes you could get kind of lucky with it and decrease your poly count as well. So that's what I did for this guy. And the Z remesh was okay. It wasn't the best thing ever. Like, it is not to the point where this would be good for animation. Like, I do not intend to animate this guy. He's just going to be a sculpt. What I'm doing right now is just like still like little detail things here and there. I do a mixture between a couple brushes. I do with a damn standard brush. Sometimes I have the draw size bigger because sometimes people like to have the really small draw size and the strength really big. I kind of do the reverse where I have maybe like a 2 or 3 damn standard for the intensity, and then for the draw size I have maybe like a 10 or 11, and then I get a pretty nice result with that. For the noise, I like to have a general sweep of detail, and then from there I go into like I'm sorry, when I use the noise layer, I then turn down the intensity in there, uh, and this is where I also use the layers function inside of Zbrush. This is where I'm also doing a bunch of like where I do all the layers and then I merge them all together when I am happy with the result. And then this is where I think I was done with it. And then I was deciding maybe I should clean up the bottom for this, but then I decided not to at that point. I wasn't sure why, but then I went back later and after the recording, and I actually did fix the bottom. And then I decided it was done. That I asked my girlfriend, "Hey, like, you want to take a look at this?" And it's always good to get another pair of eyes onto whatever art you're working on, because then they could be like, "No, no, like it'll be a lot better if you did this part." And when you're first looking at it, you think, "Oh, maybe like it might need it," and then when you take a step back from it, you're like, "Yeah, it does." So this is where I decided to put even more detail into the wrinkles, and since I had a bunch of the skin details put on, so that I didn't want to lose it. So this is where I like to use the standard brush, because I find that it to be as non-destructive as possible. So I'm only using the standard brush and the damn standard brush, and you can still get good results with a combination between those two brushes. Sometimes I just mask things off. I'm doing a little crumble brush for the lips over here to get some really quick cracks. Those artifacts that you see at the end of the model, I ended up actually fixing later on because I just didn't like them. But for this recording, I decided to just stick with it. But then later on, I fixed it out. I did do a recording where it showed the process of me doing it, but my computer crashed at that moment, and I decided not to do that all over again. It was kind of a hassle. So, yeah, like these are the moments where it the finishing touches onto this guy. Just deciding where you put wrinkles and where you would think the guy's head might move, where the differences between his upper head and lower the neck and everything. You might have some wrinkles in there, or like the shark's march as well. I didn't have a ear cavity inside there, and truthfully, I'm not exactly sure how ear cavities work, so I'm not sure if that would actually work. But I thought it looked cool, so I was like, why not? And I'm almost done with it, I believe. Yeah, I'm just adding back fat and some more wrinkles onto here, and yeah. So I had a lot of fun with this, guys. If you guys like this, please let me know. Leave a comment or like any or suggestions to the box. If you have any other design ideas or anything you would like me to do, I would love to do it. This might be a continuously a series. I haven't decided yet. But, yep. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.